I am Kathy Archer, and I am the director and advisor for Encore Theater.
How do you teach thespians to act during these times?
That's a really good question, and I'm still figuring it out. The hardest part for me was I incorporate a lot of movement, and I believe that you develop character through a lot of movement. And trying to do a lot of movement when some people are online and some people are in person was a big problem. I also am constantly telling my students to get closer to each other, because even before the pandemic, they had a tendency to stand far apart, too far apart. And I had to keep catching myself and not say get closer, and then try to figure out, well, how do I make that stage picture look like they're closer, but they're not? Holding out a hand, pushing and pulling. So a lot of it's just figuring it out as you go along. It really, it's different for every person, and it's different for every scene, and it's different for every character. But basically it's finding that way of doing movement in a way that's comfortable, both when you're in your living room and online and when you're in the space.
To be able to have an opportunity to do theater during COVID, because there was a long period of time where the productions I was going to be doing got canceled or pushed back. So to have that opportunity in general was exciting for me, even if I wasn't the most interested in just doing Midsummer in general again. I don't really get anxious about doing shows. The part that made me anxious about doing Midsummer was the fact that I didn't know who I was even performing it for.
I feel like there was at least a little bit of nervous anxiousness there that I was feeling, but at the same time I was still learning just go with what's happening, whatever anyone else is doing, just do that. And I kind of incorporated that rule into the COVID rules as well. Everyone's staying this far apart, I'll do that too. Everyone's trying not to touch things that everyone else is touching, I'll do that too. And yeah, I just kind of followed that rule, and I feel like everything went decently.
Patience, really listening to your students, and making sure that they're okay, and that when my own children say to me they're okay, I can tell when they're not, because I can see it in their eyes, and making sure I'm really keyed into that, which is hard with the masks. So that would be something, listening with all of your being and not just your ears, because sometimes people are saying things, they're saying words, but the words are not what they're really trying to say.
This was the show that I have learned the most in during my entire career. It's not the creation of the show itself, but the performance of the show for an audience. The audience, to me, is the most important part of it, because it's their reactions that validate all the work that I have done. To have that taken away at times definitely demotivated me, because I wouldn't know how people felt about the show just watching it. And it was very difficult I wouldn't say it was difficult for me to adjust to using the cameras, but to have them in the space and kind of talk to my actors and work with them so we can frame our scenes through the camera was tricky. And to just kind of have to understand the cameras are the audience and the cameras are the focus. You're playing to the camera, because behind that camera in the future is going to be the people who are watching the show. Remember why you're doing this, and remember who you're doing this with and for, and to stay motivated and to truly be able to drive yourself and to direct yourself. The biggest thing in COVID has been the lack of self-direction, and the important thing is to find the direction within yourself to power through. That's what truly can make theater during COVID.
If you're planning on doing a play, if things don't start out well, just know they will get better and they will get easier the longer that you start to do plays and the longer you practice and work on it. Things don't always look like they're going to work out, but they do.
Be passionate about theater and don't let somebody tell you it can't happen. And don't start promoting the arts. I'd like to see us, those of us in theater, I think that the biggest thing is we've got to promote the arts the way STEM is being promoted and the way that sports are being promoted.